So just like on the left hand side, we have this baffle plate here, which we can alter the angle. So we've got one on the left, one on the right. Here we can adjust, we have the 4 settings there. When you go to do all your crop settings in the sieves, this is one of those ones that is, if you scroll right down to the bottom of the list, it'll actually tell you which hole to have these in. The other one itself is here, and this is the throttle. So this is the volume of air that we have coming off the drop off between the prep tray and the sieves themselves. And the same for the other baffle plate is here. The number of hole that you should be in will depend on the crop you're in. You can also fine tune this yourself if you want to. But this setting, just like the baffle plate, will be right down the bottom of the list when you go into your crop settings itself. So do check when you change crops, make sure that this one is in the correct hole, either increase or decrease the volume of air coming off there. Not only have you got fan speed, you've also got this where you can adjust the actual volume of air coming in over that drop off. So here we have the moisture meter, and this, just like all the other sensors within the machine, you can set them from sieves. You do have to calibrate it, and that's by putting a test weigh in and also to set the moisture. So if you do set the moisture for this, remember that when you check the moisture in the shed, that is only measuring the outside of the grain, not the inside of the grain. So there's a little bit of leeway there. Do make sure though as well, this one measures everything, not just what you want it to measure. So it measures everything that goes to the grain tank, beetles included. So calibrate that through the sieves screen, etc., and do the test weigh, etc. I'll show you that when we show you the sieves screen itself. Further up the elevator, we have the sensor for the volume of material inside the elevator, and that then, just like the other sensor on the returns elevator, make sure every now and then you pop it open just to make sure that the lenses are clean and kept clean. But that, same again, everything done through the sieves screen, but that does measure the complete volume of material going up the elevator. And so to keep that as accurate as possible, you must make sure that the tension of the chain in the elevator is kept to the correct tension. So here on the right, we've got the drum speed, obviously. Drum speed is set through the sieves screen. So when you load your crop setting, it will select a drum speed, but you can fine tune that speed by selecting, either touching the sieves screen and then selecting the drum area and then changing the speed up and down, or you can use the armrest itself to select and then adjusting the speed up and down. So you can fine tune that, and then just with all the other settings, if you've got them, you can then save those settings in the sieves screen, which we'll show you later. So here, down the bottom here as well, if you do have one fitted, here is the gearbox to reduce the speed down. So on this particular one, if we want to change the speed, we remove the bolt here, and there's another one opposite. We spin this arm here around so it's vertical, and then we put the 2 bolts in the top and bottom, and that then changes the speed. So if you're doing maize, you do have the option of slowing the drum down to an even slower speed, just like we have for the chopper on the back, where we can slow the speed down. If you do that, obviously once you're done, don't forget you have done it, and then select it back to the other side so that you've got the faster speed again. So drum speed, change it to what you need it for the crop flow and the conditions that you're in at the time. So when we're talking about returns here, so this is the returns going back in on top of the APS drum if you have the smaller machine. What we have here is, if you can see the center shaft of the returns auger from the cab, that is roughly where you need to have it for a good balance of the machine. So set the top sieve and bottom sieve to give yourself roughly half of the returns coming back into the machine, and from there you can judge how much material, so grain and or thresh material that you've got in it. If you do have eye for seeing the volume of returns on the sieves screen, you can then adjust your sensitivity of your monitor there to then show you exactly how much you've got in it. So that way you can then adjust the combine accordingly. No more than half of the actual returns coming back through the machine itself. So for the walker on the right hand side, an additional setting that we can do to help with the threshing and also the material going onto the walker is this curtain. So here we have the curtain. This can be either pulled up away from the impeller itself, we can pull it up tight to the impeller, or even pull it up even tighter. So if we're doing maize, we want it tight. If we're doing long tall crops, we might want to pull it a bit further away. So depending on the position will depend entirely on the crop that you're actually set up for. So to find the setting for this, you can find it in the sieves screen, and you scroll down in your crop settings, scroll down to the bottom there, and then you can see exactly where it is and what position it needs to be for that particular crop.